I've got some paint and some more filler. I'm going to glue all them bits back round here, and then I can fill them with filler ready for paint. Okay, so I've glued all that down. I'll let that go off, and then I shall cover that all in polyfiller. Can't be any right or wrong way to do hills and stuff. No one got a ruler out, did they, and measured what a hill looked like, so it's just random. Okay, so we've painted that in a very dark grey, where it's going to be inside the tunnel, just to give the effect of the darkness when it's in there. So the paint's bringing out the textures and things. Okay, so that's them all had a base coat of the grey, which is just a bit of black, bit of white, until I felt it was a colour I wanted. So that's them, and then the tunnel is over there. I need to do inside the tunnel, but I'll do that once it's dried. And then it'll be a matter of a lighter grey, but dry brushing in to all the, you know, what's going to be rocks. And then it'll be, once that's dried, and then a little bit of white, very dry, and just going down the rock face just to touch any highlights. And then above the tops, I shall then put some scatter of the grass, and then add bits of foliage and things like that. So I've gone around with a filler on them off cuts, so hopefully you can see where we're heading with that. So that'll, once it's dry, get a coat of paint, probably grass on that. Okay, so we've now painted inside the tunnel. So that looks a little bit better. And then I've painted over this lot, how it's dried. We'll do a rock effect on it, and then I shall add PVA around the bases and just coming up the sides, and then we'll scatter it with some green, and that should be a decent effect. I've also dry brushed just a little bit of black on these areas of the tracks here, just to make that look a bit dirtier, grimier than the rest of it. Only subtle, but you can tell. Yeah, so that's where we're up to. So it's a matter of waiting for things to dry again. So I'm now going to go over it with a lighter grey, but almost dry, so keep dabbing it off, and just very little bit, just to try and bring out a little bit more of a rock effect. So it doesn't do a lot, but it just brings out a little bit more of the texture. And then when I go over it with just a very light dry brush of white just down, you'll see then it'll just hit the light, but it just gives that little bit more effect. So that's it, I've done with painting now. I feel I'll put a little bit of white on, but you can't really tell. I've stuck them down now with contact adhesive. I've stuck that one down, tested it, everything's going through all right. So all I do, contact adhesive on the base, contact adhesive on there, and then stick it down. So that's them all stuck down. And then the next stage will be, I'm going to stick the buildings down, but then once that's all drying in place, then I'll add the scatter while they're in situ, and then I can PVA around the edges, and then the grass will fall to finish off the effect, and then along the tops and everything. But we'll wait for all the paint and everything to go dry, and that'll be the next bit. So that's everything now glued down in place. The buildings are down, the hills are down. So now I shall leave it for a couple of days for everything to dry, and then we shall start adding some green, and then that will bring the layout to life, or it should do, but it's looking good. I'm happy with it. Got plenty of interesting features. If we come down, it's yeah, it's going to look the part, I'm sure. And like I say, once we start getting some green on here, because everything's grey at the moment, it'll waken it all up quite a bit. So, but yeah, that's it for now. And then we shall get some scatter on.